Judicial activism is an important idea in the legal system that means judges take a more active role in making decisions, especially when it comes to protecting people's rights and addressing issues in society. The term judicial activism was first used in the United States in 1947 by an American historian named Arthur Schlesinger Jr. He used this term to describe the way some judges were willing to interpret laws and the Constitution in a way that supports social change and justice. In India, judicial activism started to gain ground around the mid-1970s. During this time, several influential judges played a significant role in shaping this concept. Notable figures like Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, Justice O. Chinnappa Reddy, and Justice D.A. Desai were instrumental in establishing the foundations of judicial activism in the Indian legal system. They believed that the judiciary could and should step in to protect the rights of individuals, especially those who were marginalized or discriminated against. Judicial activism in India is often linked to the interpretation of the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Articles like Article 21, which guarantees the right to life and personal liberty, and Article 32, which allows individuals to approach the Supreme Court for the enforcement of their rights, have been essential in the expansion of judicial activism. In various landmark cases, these judges have interpreted such articles broadly, ensuring that fundamental rights are not just theoretical but practically enforced. For instance, in the case of Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India in 1978, the Supreme Court ruled that the right to life under Article 21 includes the right to live with dignity. This landmark decision showcased how judicial activism can help safeguard individual rights against arbitrary actions by the state. Another significant instance of judicial activism is the public interest litigation (PIL) system, which allows individuals and groups to seek justice not just for themselves but on behalf of those who cannot approach the court. This has opened the doors for addressing social issues such as environmental degradation, women's rights, and corruption in public life. However, while judicial activism aims to promote justice and uphold rights, it can also lead to debates about the proper role of the judiciary versus the legislature. Critics argue that too much judicial activism can encroach on the powers of the elected government, potentially leading to conflicts and challenges in the democratic framework. In summary, judicial activism has become a vital part of the Indian legal landscape, influenced by the efforts of several dedicated judges. It plays a crucial role in interpreting the Constitution and protecting the rights of individuals, especially vulnerable groups. The evolution of this concept in India reflects a balance between the judiciary's responsibility to uphold justice and the need to respect the boundaries of democratic governance. The legal framework, including significant constitutional articles and landmark court cases, continues to shape the practice of judicial activism in India today. Understanding judicial activism. Judicial activism refers to the active and engaged role that judges and courts take in protecting the rights of citizens and promoting justice within society. This concept signifies an assertive action by the judiciary to ensure that the other branches of government, namely the legislature, which makes laws, and the executive, which implements laws, fulfill their responsibilities as outlined in the Constitution. Judicial activism is often seen as the opposite of judicial restraint. While judicial activism encourages judges to make bold decisions and sometimes challenge the legislative and executive branches, judicial restraint advocates for judges to limit their power and respect the decisions made by the other branches of government. Several definitions help to explain judicial activism more clearly. It can be described as a judicial approach where judges feel motivated to deviate from traditional interpretations and precedents in favor of new and progressive social policies. Cases involving social issues often prompt such actions, and judges may address matters that extend beyond their usual responsibilities, thereby influencing legislative or executive policies. Additionally, judicial activism supports the idea that judges can expand individual rights by making decisions that are not strictly tied to established laws or previous court rulings. This approach can lead to judges making new interpretations of laws to enhance their usefulness for societal improvement. Unlike judicial pessimism, which involves interpreting laws without seeking to enrich their positive impact on society, judicial activism actively seeks to shape the law for the betterment of the community. Judicial activism can also be seen as a means to create new principles and concepts within the law. This involves judges playing a role in formulating relief measures for justice and increasing access to the courts for those in need. This could include cases that affect specific groups or broader societal issues, allowing the judiciary to address injustices and advocate for public policy changes. In India, judicial activism is often linked to several important constitutional articles and landmark judicial decisions. For instance, the Constitution of India empowers the Supreme Court and High Courts to protect fundamental rights under Articles 32 and 226, respectively. These articles allow citizens to approach the courts directly if they believe their rights are being violated. Judicial activism has emerged robustly through public interest litigation, PIL, a tool that enables individuals to seek justice on behalf of those who may not have the means or ability to do so themselves. Significant rulings in India exemplify judicial activism, such as the case of Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, where the Supreme Court established guidelines to prevent sexual harassment at the workplace. This ruling highlighted how the judiciary could step in to remedy social wrongs and create protections even in the absence of legislative action. In summary, judicial activism plays a vital role in advancing justice and ensuring that the laws serve the people effectively. With a philosophy centered on protecting rights and promoting social equity, judicial activism demonstrates the judiciary's importance as a dynamic force in democratic governance in India. Aspects of judicial activism in India. Judicial activism refers to the proactive role that courts play in safeguarding citizens' rights and ensuring justice. In India, this activism manifests primarily in two key areas. The first aspect involves the courts issuing various orders and directions to government authorities. These orders aim to protect the rights of citizens and address issues of public interest. A significant tool used in this context is known as public interest litigation, PIL. Through PILs, individuals or groups can approach the court to seek justice on behalf of those who may not have the means to do so themselves. This means that the judiciary takes an active stance in ensuring that the government fulfills its responsibilities towards the people and addresses societal issues such as environmental protection, social justice, and human rights. For example, if a community is facing severe pollution from a nearby factory that is not being regulated by the government, citizens can file a PIL to prompt the courts to intervene. The judicial system thus acts as a guardian of the public interest, ensuring that the government remains accountable. The second important aspect of judicial activism is related to the interpretation of fundamental rights outlined in the Indian Constitution. Fundamental rights are essential rights that every citizen has, and they are enshrined in Articles 12 to 35 of the Constitution. Among these, Article 14 guarantees the right to equality, Article 19 provides the right to freedom of speech and expression, and Article 21 protects the right to life and personal liberty. The Indian courts have played a crucial role in broadening the understanding of these rights. For example, in various landmark judgments, the Supreme Court has interpreted the right to life, Article 21, to include the right to a clean environment, the right to privacy, and the right to health. This means that the judiciary has gone beyond the literal wording of the Constitution to ensure that citizens enjoy a more expansive vision of their rights. Through judicial activism, the courts have not only protected the basic rights of individuals but have also influenced social change by addressing controversial issues. The judiciary often steps in when there are failures or inactions by the executive or legislative branches of the government. This dynamic reflects the essential checks and balances in a democratic society, ensuring that all branches of government work in harmony to serve the people. In summary, judicial activism in India is a vital aspect of the legal system that ensures the protection of citizens' rights through proactive courts. By issuing directives to government bodies and expanding the interpretation of fundamental rights, the judiciary reinforces its role as a protector of democracy and social justice, thereby contributing to the development of the nation. Judicial review and judicial activism. Judicial review and judicial activism are two important concepts in the legal system, particularly in India and the United States. While they are related, they have distinct meanings and implications. Understanding these differences is essential for grasping how the judicial system functions within the framework of the Constitution. Judicial review refers to the power of courts to interpret laws and determine whether they are in line with the Constitution. This practice has been around for a long time and serves as a check on the legislative and executive branches of government. It ensures that laws passed by these branches do not violate constitutional principles. In India, judicial review is established under Article 13, which states that any law that is inconsistent with the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution shall be null and void. Additionally, Articles 32 and 226 empower individuals to approach the Supreme Court and High Courts, respectively, to seek justice when their rights are breached. On the other hand, judicial activism refers to a more proactive role taken by judges when interpreting laws. While judicial review is about checking laws for constitutional validity, judicial activism often means that judges actively engage in creating or shaping laws to address social, political, and economic changes. This approach emerged around the mid-20th century and is often criticized by those who believe it gives too much power to the judiciary. In this sense, some view judicial activism as a form of judicial legislation, where judges step into the role of lawmakers rather than just being interpreters of existing laws. One significant aspect of judicial activism in India is related to public interest litigation, PIL. PIL allows individuals or groups to file petitions in court on behalf of those who cannot represent themselves, thereby widening the scope for judicial intervention. This concept was expanded by the courts and has led to a more engaged judiciary. As a result, many landmark rulings that address social justice issues, environmental protection, and the rights of marginalized communities might be seen as forms of judicial activism. The Supreme Court of India has often used its power to interpret the Constitution to implement fundamental rights for different sections of society, championing equality and justice. It's important to understand that while judicial activism can lead to significant societal changes, it can also invite criticisms. Detractors argue that it may lead to judicial overreach, undermining the separation of powers among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Critics believe that judges should stick to interpreting laws rather than creating them. In conclusion, judicial review and judicial activism are critical components of India's judicial framework. Judicial review acts as a constitutional safeguard ensuring laws conform to constitutional mandates, primarily under Articles 13, 32, and 226. Judicial activism, while rooted in the principles of judicial review, goes a step further by also considering the evolving social context. It reflects the judiciary's responsibility to make constitutional ideals relevant to contemporary society. the balance between these two practices continues to be a topic of debate among legal scholars, practitioners, and the general public, as it raises questions about the extent to which the judiciary should engage in shaping laws for the welfare of society. Justification of judicial activism in India. Judicial activism refers to the proactive role that judges and courts take in enforcing the law and pushing for social change. Dr. B.L. Vadehera outlines several reasons why judicial activism is important, especially in the context of India's democratic framework. First and foremost, there are situations where the regular functioning of the government starts to falter. This can happen when the legislature, which is responsible for making laws, and the executive, responsible for implementing them, do not fulfill their duties. When this occurs, people's faith in democracy and the constitution may diminish, creating a void where citizens feel neglected and powerless. In such cases, many citizens look to the judiciary for help as they believe that the courts serve as guardians of their rights and freedoms. This creates significant pressure on the judiciary to step in and aid those who are suffering or whose rights are being violated. For instance, landmark cases like Vishaka v. State of Rajasthan have illustrated how the courts can evolve and enforce laws to protect women's rights in workplaces, addressing issues that were not adequately addressed by the legislature. Another reason for judicial activism is what Dr. Vadehera calls judicial enthusiasm. Judges often want to play an active role in promoting social reforms as society evolves. This enthusiasm has resulted in the rise of public interest litigation, PIL, a tool that allows individuals to file cases on behalf of the public interest. This approach also relaxes the traditional principle of locus standi, which means that a person usually must be directly affected by an issue to file a case. In humanitarian matters, PILs allow anyone to bring attention to issues like environmental protection or human rights abuses, significantly broadening the scope of judicial intervention. There is also what is termed a legislative vacuum, where certain social issues or areas do not have specific laws governing them. In such cases, the courts may need to create legal norms to fill these gaps, effectively engaging in what is often called judicial legislation. For instance, the Right to Information Act and the establishment of the Lokpal are examples where courts have influenced legislative development by highlighting the need for such mechanisms in a transparent democracy. The Indian Constitution itself provides various articles that empower the judiciary to take an active stance. Articles 21 and 32, for instance, guarantee the right to life and personal liberty, allowing citizens to approach the Supreme Court for enforcement of these rights. This built-in power illustrates how the judiciary is meant to uphold individual rights and social justice. Subhash Kashyap adds to this discussion by identifying situations where the judiciary may find it necessary to step beyond its usual boundaries. These include instances when the legislature neglects its responsibilities or when there is a hung legislature, where no single party has a clear majority. In such scenarios, the governing body may become ineffective, leading to delays in crucial decision-making that affects citizens. Additionally, there are times when those in power may deliberately avoid making tough decisions to protect their positions, opting instead to shift contentious issues to the courts. This effectively allows them to sidestep accountability for difficult governance choices. Moreover, the judiciary plays an essential role when the legislature and executive fail to ensure the protection of basic rights, such as the right to a dignified life or a healthy environment. These failures might arise due to inefficiencies within the government or even abuse of power by those in office, especially in oppressive circumstances, such as during the emergency periods in Indian history, when civil liberties were heavily curtailed. Finally, sometimes the courts themselves might succumb to external pressures, such as the desire for publicity or popular approval. The need for courts to be perceived favorably by the public or the media might lead them to make decisions that prioritize visibility over fundamental legal principles. In conclusion, judicial activism serves as a necessary mechanism to address gaps and failures in governance, particularly in a diverse and complex society like India. By interpreting laws in dynamic ways and acknowledging social changes, the judiciary can protect fundamental rights while promoting social justice, ensuring that democracy remains robust and responsive to the needs of the people. Actors of judicial activism. Judicial activism refers to the active role that courts play in interpreting the law and protecting the rights of citizens. In India, various groups and individuals contribute to this form of activism, especially when it comes to upholding social and human rights. Upendra Baxi, a prominent legal scholar, categorized these actors into several types, highlighting their specific focus and contributions. Civil rights activists are one of the primary groups involved in judicial activism. Their main concern is to protect civil and political rights, which include freedoms related to speech, assembly, and legal protections. These activists often take their concerns to the courts to ensure that government actions do not infringe upon these fundamental rights. Another vital category is the people's rights activists. This group pays close attention to social and economic rights, particularly in situations where government actions suppress people's movements or rights. They advocate for fair treatment and justice for marginalized communities affected by state repression. Groups dedicated to consumer rights also play a significant role in judicial activism. These organizations focus on ensuring that consumers are treated fairly and have their rights protected in the marketplace. They hold businesses and the government accountable for any exploitation or unjust practices. Bonded labor groups tackle the serious issue of wage slavery, advocating for the end of such practices in India. Their efforts include pushing for judicial intervention to protect those trapped in conditions of forced labor. Citizens for Environmental Action work towards combating issues like environmental degradation and pollution. They encourage the judiciary to take proactive steps to protect the environment, emphasizing the balance between development and ecological preservation. Meanwhile, groups opposing large irrigation projects often face challenges when seeking judicial intervention against massive state-sponsored projects. They argue that such developments can displace local communities and degrade the environment, making their activism crucial in a country with diverse ecological and social landscapes. Rights of the child groups advocate for children's rights, focusing on issues such as child labor, access to education, and the rights of children in vulnerable situations, such as those born to sex workers. Their work often leads to judicial actions that aim to protect and uplift children's welfare. Custodial rights groups represent individuals who face issues while in custody, including prisoners, women in protective custody, and those under preventive detention. Their activism seeks to ensure humane treatment and legal rights for these individuals. Poverty rights groups attend to the needs of those affected by drought and famine, as well as urban poverty. They work to ensure that the state meets its obligation to support the economically disadvantaged and often seek judicial intervention to improve social welfare programs. Groups fighting for indigenous peoples' rights advocate for the rights of forest dwellers and communities outlined in the 5th and 6th schedules of the Indian Constitution. They focus on identity rights and the preservation of their cultures amidst increasing threats from industry and development. Women's rights groups push for gender equality and the protection of women from violence, harassment, and societal abuse, including issues like dowry deaths. Their activism has often led to significant legal reforms aimed at safeguarding women's rights in India. Bar-based groups engage with issues about the autonomy and accountability of the judiciary itself. They work to ensure that the judicial system remains independent and effective in delivering justice. Media autonomy groups advocate for the freedom of the press and the accountability of state-owned media. They emphasize the importance of independent media in a healthy democracy, helping ensure public access to truthful information. Additionally, there are assorted lawyer-based groups that include influential lawyers who take part in various causes, further enriching the landscape of judicial activism. Lastly, assorted individual petitioners represent freelance activists who engage on their own, bringing specific issues to the courts. Their individual efforts can also lead to significant changes in legal interpretations and social justice. In India, judicial activism is not merely an abstract concept. It's rooted in various constitutional articles, such as Articles 21, Right to Life and Personal Liberty, and 39, E and F, directing the state to secure for its citizens the right to an adequate means of livelihood and equal pay for equal work, as well as the directive principles of state policy. These articles provide the legal foundation for many of the activist efforts mentioned above, creating a framework within which these groups can fight for justice and equity. Judicial activism, therefore, involves a collective effort from various actors aiming to enhance human rights and social justice within the Indian legal system, demonstrating the interplay between law and activism in a democratic society. Understanding the concerns of judicial activism. Judicial activism is a concept where courts take an active role in shaping laws and policies, often stepping into areas traditionally managed by the legislature or the executive. While this can lead to important changes and protections for citizens, it also raises various concerns, as noted by notable legal scholar Upendra Baxi. He highlighted several types of fears that can arise from judicial activism. One major concern is ideological fear. People worry that judges might take too much power from the legislative and executive branches of government. The Indian Constitution establishes a separation of powers between these branches, which means each has its own distinct responsibilities. Therefore, when the judiciary becomes too active in areas meant for the other branches, it can lead to questions about whether it is overstepping its boundaries. Next, there are epistemic fears. This pertains to the knowledge and expertise of judges when it comes to complex subjects like economics and science. For instance, can judges understand intricate economic matters as well as a seasoned economist like Manmohan Singh? Similarly, can they grasp advanced scientific principles as well as leaders in fields like atomic energy? This concern emphasizes the need for specialized knowledge to make informed decisions, particularly on issues that require technical expertise. Another area of concern is management fear. Judges are often faced with an overwhelming amount of cases and rising backlogs. Adding more responsibilities through various types of litigation can worsen these existing issues. With the Indian judiciary already grappling with significant arrears, the concern is whether judges can effectively manage an increasing workload while still ensuring fair and timely justice. Legitimation fears arise from doubts about whether judicial decisions, especially in public interest litigation, will be respected and enforced by the executive branch. If the government chooses to ignore orders, it can undermine public confidence in the judiciary. The expectation is that the judiciary will act as a reliable safeguard for democracy, but if its authority is questioned, citizens may lose faith in this essential institution, as guaranteed under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, which ensures the right to life and personal liberty. Then we have the democratic fears. There's a debate on whether the rise of public interest litigation, PIL, strengthens democracy by allowing citizens to seek justice or whether it could diminish its essence in the long run. Continuous intervention by the judiciary in various socio-political matters could lead to an imbalance that hampers the growth of democratic institutions. Lastly, biographic fears are personal concerns that judges might have about their legacy after retirement. They may wonder how their actions during their tenure will be viewed in the long term, especially if they engage extensively in judicial activism. Questions about their role and impact on national affairs can influence their choices in litigation matters. In summary, while judicial activism can be vital for upholding rights and enforcing justice in India, it comes with a collection of fears that need careful consideration. The Indian Constitution, through various articles, provides the framework for understanding these activities and their implications. Articles such as Article 32 allow individuals to approach the Supreme Court for enforcement of fundamental rights, further illustrating the role of the judiciary as a protector of citizens' interests, while also highlighting the complexities involved in maintaining a balance of powers within a democratic framework. Understanding judicial restraint. Judicial restraint is a concept used in the legal systems of many countries, including India. It refers to a philosophy that suggests judges should be careful and limited in how they interpret laws. Those who believe in judicial restraint argue that judges should focus strictly on what the law says rather than making new laws or infusing their own personal beliefs into their decisions. Their principal job is to apply the law, not to create it. In countries like the United States, proponents of this philosophy insist that lawmakers, those elected in the legislative branch such as Congress or Parliament, should be the ones to shape laws, not judges. They believe that judges should stick to interpreting cases based solely on the text of the law and the intentions of those who wrote the Constitution and its amendments. This view stresses that the original meaning and intention behind legal texts need to be preserved and respected by the courts. In India, while we don't use the exact term, judicial restraint, similar principles can be observed in the functioning of the judiciary. Indian judges often aim to uphold the Constitution as the supreme law while also respecting the roles of the legislative and executive branches. Article 13 of the Indian Constitution, for instance, deals with laws that are inconsistent with fundamental rights and provides a framework for judicial review where courts can assess but are generally cautious about overturning laws enacted by the legislature. This illustrates a form of judicial restraint where the focus is on ensuring laws don't violate the Constitution rather than overstepping into legislative functions. Another relevant article is Article 32, which grants individuals the right to approach the Supreme Court if they believe their fundamental rights are infringed upon. This can lead to judicial activism, contrasting the concept of restraint, as it allows the judiciary to play a more active role in protecting rights. In practice, the judiciary's approach to restraint often involves interpreting the law narrowly to ensure that legislative intent is maintained. For example, the judiciary may refuse to delve into policy matters that are best suited for legislative action. They may state that their role is to interpret existing laws rather than create or modify them according to current societal trends. In summary, judicial restraint emphasizes a limited judicial role that respects the law and the intentions of its creators. It stands in contrast to judicial activism, where judges may take a more active stance in interpreting laws based on contemporary values or social circumstances. Understanding these philosophies is crucial for grasping how the judiciary operates within the framework of the Constitution, balancing the responsibilities between the different branches of government. Assumptions of judicial restraint in the United States and their relevance in India. Judicial restraint is an important principle in the legal system that suggests courts should avoid making bold decisions that could overstep their authority or conflict with the actions of other branches of government. In the United States, this concept is built on 6 main ideas, which can also be seen in the context of India. Firstly, there is a belief that the courts are not elected bodies and, therefore, tend to be less attuned to the popular will of the people. Courts have a more aristocratic nature since their judges are appointed rather than elected by the public. This perception leads to the idea that courts should respect the decisions made by more democratically elected branches of government, like the legislature and the executive. In India, this idea is reflected in the relationship between the judiciary and the legislature, where courts often show deference to laws passed by parliament unless they directly violate the constitution. Secondly, judicial review, or the power of courts to evaluate the constitutionality of laws, is seen as a power that is not explicitly given in the US Constitution. This raises questions about its origins and legitimacy. In India, Article 13 of the Constitution provides that laws inconsistent with fundamental rights shall be void, giving a clear basis for judicial review in the Indian legal framework. The courts in India have been entrusted with the responsibility to uphold the Constitution, which legitimizes their role in reviewing legislation. The third assumption relates to the separation of powers. This principle divides government responsibilities into distinct branches, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, to prevent any one branch from gaining too much power. In India, this separation is also upheld. The judiciary respects the separateness of the legislative and executive branches but is also empowered by the Constitution to intervene when necessary, especially in cases involving fundamental rights. Fourthly, the concept of federalism is crucial. In the US, the division of power between the national government and state governments requires courts to respect state legislation and actions. India also follows a federal structure where certain powers are allocated to the states, as outlined in the 7th schedule of the Constitution. The Supreme Court of India has often balanced the powers between the central and state governments, ensuring that state rights are safeguarded. Fifth, there is a practical idea that since the courts rely on Congress for their jurisdiction and resources, they should avoid intrusive actions that might cause conflicts. This is applicable in the Indian context as well. The judiciary is aware of its limitations and often exercises restraint to maintain harmonious relationships with the legislature and the executive. The Indian judiciary, through various landmark judgments, has navigated the waters of power delicately, ensuring it acts within its bounds while being responsive to the need for justice. Lastly, there is an understanding that, as a court of law, the judiciary should not involve itself excessively in politics. The law is seen as a process of reason and judgment that should remain separate from the influence of political power. In India, this idea resonates strongly, especially when courts assert their independence from political pressure. However, the Indian judiciary has also engaged in significant political matters, highlighting the ongoing conversation about the role of courts in governance. In conclusion, the assumptions of judicial restraint that apply to the United States judiciary can also be observed in the context of India. While the Indian Constitution provides a strong framework for judicial review and the separation of powers, it also emphasizes the need for the judiciary to operate with restraint and respect the roles of other branches of government. The balance of power among the judiciary, legislature, and executive is crucial for maintaining democracy and protecting fundamental rights in India. In December 2007, the Supreme Court of India emphasized the importance of maintaining a clear separation of powers among the different branches of the government while giving a judgment. The Constitution of India divides the government into three main parts: the legislature, which makes laws, the executive, which carries out laws, and the judiciary, which interprets laws. Each of these branches has specific roles and responsibilities, and it is crucial for them to respect one another's authority. The Supreme Court pointed out that judges sometimes overstep their boundaries by trying to take on tasks that belong to the executive or legislative branches. The court described this behavior as unconstitutional. The judges were reminded that their role is to interpret and enforce laws, not to run the government. They should act with humility and not overreach into the roles of other branches, like emperors who claim more power than they are given. In making these observations, the bench referred to the ideas of Montesquieu, a famous French philosopher who wrote about the separation of powers. He warned that if these boundaries are not respected, it could create serious consequences for the governance of a country. The court acknowledged that it often faces criticism for stepping beyond its proper authority, which it termed judicial overreach. The Supreme Court further clarified that while it might appear that the executive and legislature are failing to perform their duties properly, this does not justify the judiciary's encroachment on their responsibilities. The judges noted that similar criticisms could be directed at the judiciary itself, highlighting the backlog of cases in the courts, some of which have been pending for decades. This acknowledgement serves to remind the judiciary of its own responsibilities and limits. Additionally, the court stated that if citizens feel that their elected representatives are not delivering effectively, they can bring about change by voting in elections or expressing their opinions through peaceful protests. The judiciary taking over the functions of the legislative or executive branches is not a proper solution. Such actions would disrupt the delicate balance of power established by the Constitution. At the heart of this judgment is the principle of judicial restraint, which supports the idea that each branch should respect the independence and equality of the others. This is vital for preserving the rule of law in a democratic society. Judicial restraint helps prevent interference among the branches, which can protect the judiciary from being seen as just another political body. If courts constantly took over roles meant for lawmakers or administrators, it could lead to calls for monitoring judicial actions closely, undermining public trust and independence. The Constitution of India, under Article 50, talks about the separation of the judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state, which further aligns with the ideals discussed by the Supreme Court. Moreover, Article 121 prohibits courts from interfering in the proceedings of Parliament and state legislatures, ensuring that the balancing act of power remains intact. In conclusion, the Supreme Court's observations serve as a reminder of the foundational principles of the Indian Constitution regarding the separation of powers. It urges all branches of government, including the judiciary, to operate within their designated roles while respecting each other, to maintain a well-functioning democracy.